I would say Jeff is definitely the top 10% earners, if not the top 1% earners.
Like, what sparked that frustration into making the shift?
Formal education will earn you a living. Self-education will earn you a fortune.
Do you still trade 100K?
So yeah, after a year, I'll be adding in another couple 100,000, get it up to about 300,000. I have goals and I'm on target. I'll probably hit 36% annualized return.
Did that ever creep into your mind, like that imposter syndrome where you were like, I'm in my 40s, I feel like I missed this?
Don't live in the past saying, I wish. I'm like, what can I do right now? What can I do today? What steps and decisions and choices and action can I take to control my future? Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Wallace. If you want to learn skills to help you retire within 5 years to achieve financial freedom, you're going to want to listen to this episode of Wealth Busters.
So, Jeff, what do you do for a living?
Starting hot.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Cody, I have been in corporate sales in the transportation industry for 28 years.
28 years?
28
How's
years.
that possible? How old are you?
Well, I'm 50 years old.
So you started right when you're 22, right out of school?
23.
23?
Yeah.
Never changed a job?
I have had some changes, but always been in the same industry. And for the most part, always in corporate sales.
And I know corporate sales is a very lucrative way to start up as a new grad, but is that the same today to get into a corporate sales role?
Is it the same in what way, Cody? Sorry.
Like getting into it.
To get into it. Like, how did you, did you just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm inspired to be a corporate sales. And then you become one for the next 28 years. Is that how?
No, actually. So there's definitely just a learning process and growth. So when I graduated from college in 1996, just laughing here because it does go by pretty fast. So I actually went through and I got educated on international transportation. And when I graduated college, I was hired by an international logistics and freight forwarding organization. And I actually started in operations, but I was only in operations for about a year and a half. And there was just an individual back at that time that just saw qualities in myself that he felt aligned well with what it takes to be a successful salesperson. So he gave me an opportunity to get into sales. So that would have been in 1998. So only 26 years in corporate sales.
In 2 years, this guy saw potential in you.
Yes, absolutely.
So how did that happen, going from like the operational side, this person who's in sales, seeing you? Because I feel like those divisions sometimes are a little separated. So how did that happen? Was it like a mutual connection? Did you guys just meet through a work event? Like, how did those two worlds collide?
Yeah, so it was just really being in the same office, and it's still a large office, but just having the opportunity to mingle with people on the floor, and just not, as you do within an organization, introductions and whatnot. So I guess that's how the process started, was just them seeing. And even at the time, it was qualities that I didn't know I had in myself. They're the ones that saw the qualities in me that they felt would align with being successful in sales. So that's how the conversation started.
And you never looked back.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
What was the first thing that you did once you got into that role that it was kind of like, oh, wow, like I'm really good at this? Like, what was that moment where you're like, I'm in the right place now?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nada. So I think it's just like anything, and I'm excited for the conversation that we're going to have today, and I know it's going to go in different directions, but I think it's you have a little bit of fear when you first start out, especially when you get into a sales role, and either you perform or you
die. Yeah,
and if you don't, you're
out.
Done.
Yeah,
done.
You're out.
Right?
Did they give you a deadline and say, "Hey, Jeff, if you don't hit this target in your first 3 months, you're out"?
No, it wasn't that good. So it was more progressive because there was you have the behavior traits or behavioral traits that are innate within you that can allow you to extract or capitalize on those traits. But the fear is, okay, and again, I went through this evaluation just in terms of, age and, what's in front of me and calculated risk and whatnot. And if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. I would just find something else.
You were only 23, 25 at that time.
Exactly. Right. So, but I've always had a deep belief in myself to figure it out. So, but yeah, I had to overcome fear to progress forward and ultimately just, learn the traits or the knowledge and the traits to be successful.
Like before I go into asking you, how do you step by step get to where you are? Can you tell us generally how much does a corporate sales make, a range? So we want to wow the people because there's a lot of young people that say, come out of school, I want to get into corporate sales because I think I'm going to make this. What is that in reality?
Yeah, so you want me to go back to what it was back in 19...
No, now I want to know.
He wants to see your NOA.
Roughly range. What can people expect after 28 years of experience, and what's the range for that?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me exact number, but what is the range of base, and what is it? How do they calculate bonus, all that kind of idea?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the structure is not like the typical one, depending on what type of sales role you're in. So I don't know if yours is more of like the commission, so we can talk about more about that side of things, or if it's like, you get like the salary and then it's whatever on top. The sales.
Yeah, for sure. Oh no, my mind goes in different directions because if there was somebody new starting out today, there's opportunity to start with I'd say a lower 6-figure income, and then the opportunity to earn and build on top from the commission or the bonus structure. So I'd say it would be dependent on industry. Right? Like, so are you guys like specific to the industry that I'm in?
You're in international trade.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then,
I'm not, most of the, I guess, our generation, millennials, all think about tech corporate sales, right? That's probably, maybe you can touch on that. Is there a big difference in compensation now that you know?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about tech, but
that's fine.
my perception is that the big tech is, it could be even more lucrative.
Yeah.
Right. So, but no, in international trade, in the logistics industry, I'd say that is starting for somebody just starting out. If you're with the right organization, it could start with low 6 figures, and then you start, building on top.
So you say someone who hop into a corporate sales role has a base of low 6 figure, or they have to work hard.
They got to work hard.
Yes.
They got to work hard, right?
Yeah.
So there's a base.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's say, $50K to start with. Yeah. And then maybe let's put it this way. Out of your pay, what's the percentage as base? What's the percentage as commission?
We're not talking about NOA, I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, for me, okay.
These are hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, no, now I got to put my math major hat on, right? So
he does quick math and expects us to do it.
It would be... The base for me would be like a third to possibly down to a quarter.
Yeah.
So you really work hard.
Yeah.
Because the base, like a lot of sales don't have a base.
Yeah.
But a base, do you believe the base is there to really just keep the pressure off a little bit? And there's going to be ups and downs. A lot of people cannot budget accordingly. Yeah. So make sure they have enough, but make sure they're not happy enough so they don't work hard.
Yeah, that's a great question, Cody. And so I'm actually going to just tap into more my mindset because in the industry there are organizations that have a much larger base that could be like say 75 to 80% of your compensation, and your commission would only be 20%. I flip that, and I'm again speaking for me personally. It's like, why not have a lower base with a more attractive commission where you take more control of the opportunity or your the control of income, right? So because the more you sell, the more you're going to earn, and then that goes back to again your character traits, your behavior traits, just those innate qualities, and then that belief in yourself to capitalize and do very well for yourself.
And realistically speaking, we all know the best incentive to work hard is money. Let's be honest here. Like with most people, if you were to offer that really attractive commission percentage, they will most likely excel at that role just in order to help themselves.
as long as they have the right mindset,
For sure.
behavior, and character traits.
100%.
Yeah.
What are those? Because, I hire salespeople before, right? And I have things I look for, but I would like to hear from someone who has 28 years of experience. Because have you helped out hiring new salespeople, train them kind of thing?
At one point, it was actually a direct responsibility.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what are the things you look for so that people who are listening to this want to get into a corporate sales where sales rule? They will be like, okay, check, no. Okay, I should probably stay away from it because that's not what I'm good at. What are those things that you think to be a successful corporate sales needs to have? What are those traits?
The first trait that pops in my mind is attitude.
Attitude?
Attitude, right?
Yes.
What do you mean by attitude?
Just having like an openness, a willingness to learn, a curiosity. Like there's multiple traits coming in here now, even as I'm talking, but like the right attitude and attitude tied to your mindset, right? So then you have to have the willingness and the desire to learn and be curious and just potentially even like challenge the status quo, ask questions. Then we get into drive and motivation and determination, persistence, resilience. Yeah, these are all traits, that just it floods into my mind. And again, it's like, when you're speaking with somebody, you want to dig in and digging in, and these are the qualities that you're looking for. And back to, I think attitude, it's all encompassing, right? And so for me, because I'm always like, I have a thirst and hunger to learn. And learning in anything. And I know there's going to be some topics that we're going to get into later on today that we're going to talk about as well. But learning, it ignites a passion. And there's people that also have come before you. So how can you learn from those people, right? How can you attach yourself to others from a mentorship standpoint? And then being very open to feedback and constructive feedback, right? Because if there's a subject matter expert that is excelling and you can learn from them, be open enough to ask them for their feedback on, hey, how am I performing? Hey, I'm looking to communicate with customers in a certain way, or I'm looking to do X. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Or even have them, potentially in sales, there's opportunities for role plays, right? Yeah. So, okay, let's just put it all out there, and for lack of a better description, just drop your pants, right?
Yeah.
Full Monty, right?
Because they're scary. Role plays are scary if you're trying to actually excel at something. Like, I've always been in sales my entire life, and role plays were like the bane of my existence until a point where I realized, if I actually want to be good at this craft, like I want to hone in on it, I have to suck it up if it means I'm going to improve. Yeah. And it's being able to overcome those fears that actually shows you care.
Yep. And put your ego aside.
Yeah.
Right? So.
That's amazing. It's a good answer, because honestly, it's hard to put really like a simple word to that. It's not what the person says, it's how they say it. When you're having a conversation, like I do the interviews for everyone on my team, and I always tell them, like, I don't look for what the person says, it's how they say it. I can pay someone to do the work, but I can't pay someone to care.
That's right.
So,
yep.
Love that.
So what would be a step-by-step process for someone who would want to start out in corporate sales? Not necessarily a new grad. Could be like you was in operation. They listen to this podcast, they're inspired by you. Be like, I want to make low six-figure and only make 1/3 that's base, but I know my top end is almost unlimited.
Right. Right.
What would their step-by-step process? So
step-by-step, I'm in transportation. So I just think that this could be applicable to most industries. I'm sure there's some exceptions, but specifically in my industry, and then branching that out to other markets or verticals, it's learn the operations. So for us, there's absolutely operations. So it's getting in and learning everything there is to know about the operations, and then Okay, so that's, more on the back end, right? How are we executing? How are we taking care of our customers? What are the technicals and the fundamentals and whatnot? And create that foundation or the basis of building knowledge on the industry that you're in. For me, when I was in a management role and having responsibilities to hire people, I would have people that would want to come in, say straight out of school, that don't have experience and want to go straight into sales. So for me in that process, it was actually, so I'm getting going a little bit outside of the step by step, but it's when I'm looking for people, I'm really just looking for them to have the right attitude and then train for skill. So if I had somebody coming in and wanting to start directly in sales, 9 times or more out of 10, you're like, hey, we need to build the foundation and then start layering on the bricks on top of the foundation, which is your knowledge, and just knowledge of the operation, and go from there. So if it was the right person and they still wanted to come directly into sales, I would just work with them and just say, hey, let's build it could be a 2-year plan, it could be a 3-year plan, it could even be a 5-year plan, just depending on who the individual is and what their background and experience is.
So you think like the know-how, if we look at know-how, if we look at the drive, like know-how is the know-how of the product, of the business, or this person has to drive, which one is more important in the step-by-step process?
Drive.
Yeah.
Drive and attitude.
100%.
Right?
Drive and attitude is more important.
I will always pull that attitude into, in this case, into drive. Because if you kind of correlate that to, say, athletics or sports, you could have the person that has all the talent in the world, but if they're not preparing in practice, as an example, and somebody with less talent, if they're the ones that are executing their preparation in practice and honing their skill, eventually they're going to excel and exceed that person that has the talent without the drive or the
100%.
the attitude.
You can train anyone really on the know-how of things, but it's very hard to train someone on like the attitude for it. I find it's something it's going to take a while to actually prepare for, or it's innate. It's something you either have or you don't, and you work to get it.
Yep.
Actually, I want to ask one question. I'm probably going to deviate just a little bit, but I'm curious on your thoughts on this. So nowadays, I'm seeing a lot online of like, different courses where people will teach sales, but it boils down to like a script. Do you find that that's an accurate way to, become a salesperson? Or do you find that it's more of like knowing the person, having that organic conversation, and then seeing if it's a good fit? Because I see a lot of times people are stick to the script. And for me, I maybe have a controversial opinion. I find that that's not really a good way to do it, because it's just following the guide, when sometimes as a salesperson, you have to deviate. You have to be creative.
Well, so, my philosophy in sales is there's art and there's science, right? Yeah. So there's a combination of both. So, and science is, it could be operations, it could be data, it could be analytics. And then the art is, pulling in your character or your behavioral traits and being able to hold a conversation. Whereas using your example, Nada, the script could say be complementary or align more with the science. So if you're sitting down, and I'm doing that right now in my life, right, is sitting down and building out a script to then say instill, you're building with the script, you're preparing, right? So, and I don't know if this makes sense right now, but everyone is, what's that saying Mike Tyson used to say? You prepare to have a plan, and you have the plan that you want to execute until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have, but if you have that script and you get punched in the face, so you're deviating a little bit and you're asking questions, and then you get punched in the face. Well, you go back to your script, right?
Yeah.
It can just help you in terms of your planning and your preparation can help you to speak with authority and keep you on track.
100%.
But if you're just so focused on that script, then you're going to come across as a robot, and you're going to miss the opportunity, because as you guys have great questions today, to me, it all boils down to questions. And then depending on how the person that's sitting across from you is answering is going to dictate the direction that you go.
Sure.
I think that's well answered. That's well answered. And we try to drill the step-by-step process out of you, but I'm going to give you a little bit break on the corporate sales side. So if anyone want to, reach out to Jeff, ask about the corporate sales, maybe he's hiring at his company. Who knows? If you have the right drive, you're hungry, and you have a bit of talent, and you want to learn about transportation, then you can reach out to Jeff. But now we're going to take a segue into more of your investing journey. And that's the key of our podcast today. Now, before we go into what your journey now is, I want to hear for the last 26 years. So from graduation to up until 2 years ago. I know. How long have we known each other for?
About 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
From graduation to 4 years ago, what has been your investing strategy been like? What has been the journey been like?
Juicy bits.
Yeah, great question. And I say I'll just be a little bit, vulnerable here and just open up, because I've always done extremely well in my corporate career.
What do you mean extremely well? Like make a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
in your opinion,
make good money and be happy, and then, so for me, so say the last 26 years, so 22 of those 26 was very traditional. Right, graduate college, get a corporate job, buy a house, pay down the mortgage, invest in the mainstream. Right, your typical,
what is that? What is the mainstream for?
Your mutual funds through a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Right, and
at the bank, do you give it to the bank, or is it like?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I mean, I had a financial advisor.
You pay 1% for it. Kind of.
Well, going back a few years ago, it was more than 1%.
Really? What was it?
Wish.
Probably somewhere between like 2 to 2.5%.
Wow.
And that's a challenge, though. But that is within our, like, not the economy, but like just our way of life, how we're brought up and educated. Yeah. It's like put your money with a mutual fund advisor from the bank, or just from an institutional standpoint. So I'm like, okay, awesome. And I was
follow status quo.
follow the status quo.
But at that time, do you really care how much your investment was making for you? I know you're kind of aware of how much fee you pay, but do you actually care what's the return for that? Because at the back of your head, you have a strong job. You're making. Yep. Your relative and friends are proud of you because you are making the high income, right? But do you really deep down care where you're like, you know what? That's just secondary.
I would say more it is secondary, but because there was just a belief, right? And again, this is kind of like the main stream of how we're educated, coming out of school, and that education just in terms of what the masses are doing. And so for me, I wanted to focus on myself, on my family, on my career, and then I like to actually develop a team and then orchestrate. So rightfully or wrongfully, and in this case, it was the wrong mindset and the wrong action.
What do you think is a wrong mindset? What do you mean by that?
Well, so what I'm getting at is I'll have a financial person and they'll take care of me. Right? You sit down and
you give it to them. Hey, I like you. Yeah. I trust you. Here's the money.
And to this day, like I would say subjectively, not then I could back it up objectively, but they put all the fancy charts in front of you what your money's going to be at the end.
The hockey stick.
Yeah. Exactly. And they base it on like 8 or 9% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I don't think I ever in the mainstream earned 8 or 9%.
Is that before fee or after fee?
I would say, well,
even before fee, you didn't hit that, or after fee?
But I would even say before. And So, so it was only a few years ago that I actually started taking it more seriously and getting educated and taking. And
what's that shift?
Yeah.
What was that shift that makes you? Because you did it for 26 years, you were comfortable. You're still making great money.
Well, right. So the thing is so you're putting all this money aside and investing it every year, and you're not seeing the compound interest grow to the extent that you were originally communicated.
Projected.
And so 4 years ago, at that time I'd be 46, and I'm like, okay, I always said, well, I guess I'm on the Freedom 75 plan.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because there's the Freedom 55.
Okay, just for the record, for people who are listening to this, I think I roughly know how much Jeff makes. Hey, Wallbusters, I just want to put on a side note, I do not run any ads on this channel. So if you enjoyed the video up until this part, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with a few friends that can benefit from this. And let's get right back into the episode. I would say Jeff is definitely the top 10% earners, if not the top 1% earners. Okay, I don't want to give a range or anything.
Yeah.
So it's very humble for me to hear that Jeff, even Jeff, top 10 or 1% say that. I think I guess only retire at 75.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean I joked a little bit, but it really why I'm saying that is the growth wasn't there, right? The base, the foundation was there, but you need that compound growth to do exactly that, to have your investments grow and be able to take care of yourself in retirement. So I didn't see that happening.
Now, when you say you didn't see that happening, was it like one day you, I don't know, got a letter in the mail, it was your growth for your portfolios, and you were just like, what the heck is this? Or was it like, what sparked that frustration into making the shift?
Yeah, so actually I think so 4 years ago we know it was 2020, right? And 2020 was COVID. So I think there was just an opportunity in COVID for more reflection and thought. And if we go back to when we're talking about sales, just being curious, right? Everything starts with a question. And so just, having that opportunity to be more reflective and saying, this just isn't working right, like over here. It was then just starting to ask questions, and those questions leading to developing more of a plan, right? And just seeking alternate ways of investing. So quite openly, so back in 2020 for me, it was just, again, just different podcasts that I was listening to. Are they mostly real estate investing podcasts, or what kind of podcasts? What are you listening to? Great question. So I actually today, so for me, I have three main podcasts that I listen to. One is related to personal growth and development, would be the focus and the theme. The other podcast
you can name drop. That's fine.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's a gentleman by the name of Ed Milet.
Ed Milet, yeah.
So that's on personal growth and development. And then real estate, my go-to is Brandon Turner.
Bigger Pockets.
Yeah,
I don't think he's doing anymore.
But he's actually, it's called the Better Life podcast. So great topics. And then the third one is Wealth Busters.
Good answer. We didn't pay him to say that.
No, absolutely. And so on that, and I want to come back to like the 2020, but in Wealth Busters, so we have real estate, we have personal growth and development, and then Wealth Busters is actually a combination of all, right? So you guys could have somebody on that's talking about infinite banking or whole life participating, whole life insurance, right? We're like, okay, awesome. What is this? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and is that something that you can now like add into your? So as we're talking about this, it boils down to more. So going back to 2020, it was self-education, right? So it's Jim Rohn. He has a quote that is, formal education will earn you a living. Self-education will earn you a fortune, right? So that was really, I think that's always been in me. But when I had that time for reflection back in 2020, like, okay, how can I start now getting self-educated? And for me, that was looking at different investment streams or options. So in 2020, it actually started with real estate. And that's how I got connected with yourself. And so that is...
So did you get into real estate at all?
I did get, and I am to this day.
Yeah.
Right? So
tell us a little bit more about that. Like I know you're like, hey, Cody, mutual funds didn't get to where I wanted to be. I start down on this exploration road. So you started with real estate. Yep. And then what were you doing in the real estate?
Yeah, so real estate. So for me, it was just looking at opportunities to acquire properties and this is so where your alternate streams of income come into play. So real estate. When you buy the right asset, there's multiple ways to earn income on that asset. So if you buy it right, and you buying at the right price, and then being able to have the right income to then have your income exceed your expenses. So one income stream would be cash flow, and then and I know I was just going to say, I think your list. Well, we'll need to edit that because I was just assuming what your listeners.
No, don't assume. It's just really just talking about your journey. Right? We don't have to assume anything.
Sure. Yeah. So then analyzing the property. So we just talked about cash flow being an income stream, and then if you have tenants in there and you're essentially paying your
mortgage pay down. Yeah.
So you have your principal pay down. And then you have in an ideal environment, you have your market appreciation.
Yeah.
And then you have your forced appreciation. And I guess there's a fifth opportunity there for depreciation to be a tax advantage as well.
Yeah.
So this is what I started learning back in 2020. I'm like, awesome, let's go. Right. So I went, I was going to say pretty hard, but I mean, I bought a few assets, and even so, you talk about that education journey. It's just like, okay, man, now this is the promised land.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to win. It's going to be fast money.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah. So what did you do? You buy some single family home, buy some duplex. What do you do?
Single family duplexes and fourplexes and whatnot. Yeah. But then you go through that, and you're like, okay, this isn't fast money. I'd call that slow money.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think is slow?
Well,
money?
because there's market changes, right? And then all of a sudden, okay, so. If you have a variable rate mortgage because you're planning on doing something different with that asset, well, now your expenses are starting to increase. So, either you're neutral or say slightly negative.
You're filling the hole now.
Yeah. And then,
but you're still equity size still goes up.
But it's slower money.
Mm-hmm. But you can't eat the equity, and you can't pull out the money because your rent cannot sustain the DSCR ratio, right? The landing ratio.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have equity in there. Maybe you're 60% loan to value, but you still cannot access it.
Exactly.
Unless you sell it and pay the big capital gain.
So the I'd say the cool thing here is it's all learning, right?
Yeah,
it's like all of a sudden, am I getting myself to that Freedom 55 plan, the marketing or whatever, or am I still on the Freedom 75 plan?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, okay, because this isn't as fast as what I thought it would be. So, okay. So then that just, again, what I like about that, it's not like you hit an obstacle, right? It's just like, okay, I've hit this obstacle. Now what? Right. So, and that just, comes down to that self-learning and again, books and meeting people and networking and starting to ask questions. And are there other investment strategies out there to start capitalizing on and just layering on to the foundation that you're building as well?
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, did at any point, you were just starting out in this in 2020, you are, after being 40 years old, and you're just like, it's too late for me. Did that ever creep into your mind, like that imposter syndrome where you were like, I'm in my 40s, I feel like I missed this. I feel like there's that obstacle in your mind?
Yeah. So, in the earlier part of our conversation, we talked about mindset and attitude. So did I have thoughts like that creep in? I'd say yes, but for a brief amount of time, right? Because you always wish you could start earlier, but if you stay in that mindset or in that environment, then you're not gonna move ahead. Mm-hmm. So say starting with real estate, or I think we'll get into other investment strategies here in a little bit. They always say, when was the best time to plant a tree? I think it was like 100 years ago. When's the best time to plant a tree? Well, it's today.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset. So to kind of get beyond. Not even imposter syndrome, but like living in the past. I can only control what I can control, and that's today and the action that I take and the behaviors and the mindset that I have. So it's now, but it's just okay. Being 50, how can I accelerate that plan to get me to the promised land or financial freedom? And whatever that is. And to me, financial freedom is just ultimately having control and being able to decide what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it, wherever you want to do it. So I don't live in the past saying, I wish. I'm like, what can I do right now? What can I do today? And what steps and decisions and choices and action can I take to control my future.
100%. I love that. I love that. Because even like within my own circle, I'll hear people, they're like early 20s or mid 20s. They're like, it's too late for me to do that. I'm like, whoa, what timeline are you operating on? Like, that's insane. Like, what do you mean it's too late?
Yeah.
So it's nice knowing that like there is a mindset shift that you have to go through. Most of it is yourself. Like, you have to overcome yourself in order to become the next level of you. And I love that you did that.
Mm-hmm. I think for the younger people, when they don't have a partner, it's really themselves. But like you have wife, you have kids. Most of the time for people around your age or similar caliber, it's more about the wife that might be not on board. They might need the permission or the blessing. So how do you get wifey on board on the real estate stuff and all the other stuff? People want to learn.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, and I think my answer could be pretty broad because, and I'll speak about my relationship specifically. My wife actually was always on board for real estate.
No way.
Always.
Love it.
Where I was not.
You were not.
I was not until 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And and that's, again, so it was actually almost more her with an exception as well. Because if we talk about other investing strategies, I had to I had to onboard her into my way of thinking. Anyway, like with her, she'd always been a supporter of real estate. So that one was.
Why does she believe so much in real estate?
It's in her blood. Her
whole family.
Yeah.
Always own real estate.
Yeah.
Always treat them well.
Yes.
Pass it down to her. Some of it.
Yeah. In different ways. So her parents were involved in real estate with her growing up. So I didn't have to onboard her there, but if we talk about different investment streams where the perception may be more say riskier.
Yeah.
There was.
I'm guessing you're talking about a stock option because we've been talking about the elephant in the room, but people say, "What are they talking about? That they're going to talk about? Let's talk about it." Mm-hmm. So, I know you started 4 years ago on a real estate journey.
Yeah.
And we know each other. You kind of know me. You listen to our podcast, Wealth Buster. I never really mentioned much about stock option investing on the Wealth Buster because I want people to have a whole rational way of learning and decide whatever they want to do. But I want to hear from you. Yeah. What intrigued you? If someone's like, I'm totally in real estate, I'm like, Cody, I see you on TD's webinar. I hear you so many times on stage.
Yeah.
I want to think about stock option. So what is that thing about stock option that intrigued you at that first point? I said, you know what? I'm already comfortable with stock option. Sounds like the wifey is not.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what gets you to say, I want to take that leap of faith and really investigate?
Yeah. So now that you brought up stock options, I'll answer your first question in terms of getting her on board because so I was ignorant to real estate. She was not. So then, through getting to know yourself, Cody, and, having that opportunity informally just to listen and learn more about options trading and what the opportunities are, I was able to build a certain level of knowledge there. And then, ultimately when it came time for me to say, let's do this, like I'd already followed that process or had those conversations with you to help me on my decision path. So for my wife, she didn't have that luxury. So it was just more me having that opportunity to educate her and maybe you're back to selling, right? You're selling your wife now. Right? So it's like,
how did you sell your wife?
Yeah, who's on my team now? So and I'll come to a point that was very, very critical. But within that, with anything, if you actually have a team and you orchestrate your team, like, hey, Cody, you and I have had an opportunity to chat. Why don't you chat with my wife as well? So we just engaged in that level of conversation. And then my wife is actually an entrepreneur as well. And so I was always behind her in her entrepreneurial journey. And then so with her not being in the beginning behind me on the options trading, to me, that's it's an investment strategy, but it's also an entrepreneurial opportunity in its own right. And really, I just said, hey, Lisa, my wife, right? I said, you had your entrepreneurial journey. This is my entrepreneurial. And she's like, you're 100% right.
Oh, that's how you got her in.
100%.
You,
Boom.
you
Done.
use her belief and then throw it back at her.
I didn't throw it back at her, but I was actually just getting
framed
her.
it.
Yeah, framed it.
Yeah.
Well, and just getting it, and so framing, but getting her to see it just through a different lens.
her lens.
Yeah, and she's like,
Go for it.
That was it.
You
Boom,
support
done.
me, now I'm supporting
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about communicating it properly. And I feel like if you're with someone, you're in a marriage and you guys both align in goals and visions, it's most likely it's going well because you align. So it's like when you need to go through that learning journey, they're going to support you. Maybe there's moments where it's like a little dicey. They're not feeling too comfortable, but at the end of the day, you're okay together.
Yeah.
So.
And then Cody, I think you were just talking about the risk or the.
Don't worry about it. I just want to ask you now.
Yeah.
Now that you frame your wife in the way that she supports you now, and we had a chat. So full disclosure, everyone, Jeff is one of my students. Jeff, how long have you been with me for?
About a year and a quarter.
A year and a quarter now. How was that first 3 months of the journey? Because now that you promise your wife it's going to work, you put the trust in Cody A's team that's going to work. But how was that first 3 months? First 3
months journey. If you go right into the beginning, and some of the fears and hurdles that you have to overcome, it's like when you talk about stock option trading, it's actually very different from stocks, right? So there's the fear of the unknown. It's like, okay, if I'm going to get into trading stocks, right? Like, but you're not. It's like, okay, I have to develop this whole new skill set, and it's really complex, and it's charts and it's data, and it's very confusing. So that's in the very beginning, right? But once you get in and you just start learning the simplicity of it, and then I'll give shameless plug, Cody, the way that your content and your course material is outlined, and it's step by step, and it's really broken down into its simplest form. It's just now a matter of taking that in, and we talked about the joy of learning before. Well, now it's the joy of learning, and so there's the process that we're going through. And then for me, I love results, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually had to do some training in terms of not being 100% focused on results, but enjoying the process, right? So in this case, that first 3 months, I mean, you can be up and trading in a couple of weeks, right? But so you're well into it within 3 months. So there's just that joy of the process and the learning, and then starting to see the results start to come in. And then when you're options trading and you're on your phone, right, and you're seeing your trade when you open it going from red to then green, and then you see the
green is good. Okay, in case people don't know, in North America, green is good, means making money. Red is not so good. Could be temperamentally, or depending on your strategy. But you're saying the emotional flow through, right?
Yeah.
Emotional fluctuation.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like with anything that you're trying out it seems complex and scary. It's about finding a way to control the flow when drinking from the fire hose. So making sure you find the right person to kind of walk you through it. Because let's be real, like nowadays, everyone is doing self-study, which is a great way to learn new skill set quickly. But it's about finding the right way to do it where people are able to help you learn from their mistakes. So you don't have to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of my students who are like you, who already have a good base, have a good income, good base, good money set aside. Not necessarily they always put in all their money because they learn that stocks is a gambling. That's why I'm in real estate. Stock option. Oh my God, this is next level thing. Must be gambling on gambling. I know you already have some belief in it. You put the trust in us. But what was your journey in terms of the account size you start with? And how do you scale up to now? And what does it look like?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think that's more, we talk about the process. So in anything, to me, you want to have a certain level of calculated risk. So there's the journey. So getting in and learning the building the knowledge and the skill to be able to trade options. And then there's the belief that there's going to be a result at the end. So there's the belief, but then there's the actual practice of being able to execute it and see it for yourself. So I think, for me, I was just like, okay, let's go with I'll call it a not an entry level amount, but for me, it was like, what was I willing to
lose?
To
only spend what you're able to lose. Yeah.
What you not see it again.
No, you're not going to lose it, right?
But you still at the back of your mind, you're thinking about it, right?
A more manageable amount.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's your
play money.
Yeah. And it is your future that you're taking into account. So for me, I started with just around $100,000.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wanted to go through that and knowing that there's the journey of learning and then the unknown of, well, how's the market going to react?
Yeah.
Right? What if the market goes down?
Yeah.
Okay, well, those questions are actually answered because in options trading, you can win when the market's going up, you can win when the market's going down, and you can win the market goes sideways. So for me, I'm like, okay, actually going along, having a great first few months, and then, the market actually went in a complete different direction than, what I was actually anticipating or ready for at that, particular period of time. So the market went against me. So I'm like, okay, but again, there's risk mitigation strategies in options trading. So now you're actually, pulling on your the skill set that to actively manage, for lack of a better description, to put yourself in a position to win.
You have options.
You have options within options, right?
You have options within options to mitigate, right?
So I was able to actually go through different market cycles, even within the first year. So really, I mean, I think when I started, it was still kind of a bear market, but it was just starting to turn. But it was still, bearish, but still.
Again, this is all crystal ball talking. We don't know.
Yeah.
No one knows. It's like right now, if we say where the market is going.
You can never predict it.
That was the same feeling we had when you started.
Yeah.
That we make the best decision we can based on what we have, but no one knows. Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
Right? So at that time, you were getting in. Right. And I really want to ask you, is a lot of people is like, Cody, for the last 1 year and quarter, the market has been going up. That's why you make money. But if you really take a deeper dive and living it through day to day, even though it's very hands-off, it's not always going up. Even if it's going up, it's like this, going up and down and up and sideways, triangle, circle, and then go back up.
I think that's one of the coolest things in options trading and actually leveraging your strategy. So I mentioned it. You can win when it's going up. You can win when it's going down. You can win when it's going sideways.
What does that mean? Because people, when they hear me say that, they're like, Cody, are you cuckoo? I thought you're an engineer. Like, what are you talking about?
It's just leveraging like different strategies within the strategy, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get too technical, but you're just going to open a trade, like say, on the top of the underlying price, and as it's starting to go, when you're selling options.
Maybe an easier way will be, do you think we're on the better side of the probability?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All day.
All day.
Yeah.
And do you think that has contributed to the success in the long term?
It has. It has. And I would like to convey that one of my best months in my first year was actually when the market was going down.
It's all about hedging against any shortfalls for sure. And making that calculated risk. I mean, at the end of the day, realistically, it's all about making sure that you're spending an amount that you can afford to lose. Because all the horror stories you see online, like, I lost my house because of investing in stocks or options or whatever, they did not set the proper boundaries. And that's why I think it's very important to be in like a program, like, someone with Cody who's helping you go through that in a way where you're not going to lose everything. Because that's just not even good marketing if that happens.
Yeah, but I think it's a very different mindset between day trading, or some people was going to, crypto. It's totally different clientele and different risk and rewards. Because imagine like where we talk with Jeff for almost an hour. Jeff is like, Cody, it's not like I can't lose everything, but I have a lot to lose than average people. If you really compare in terms of wealth. So it's not like, Cody, I want to lose that 100K. I'm okay with that. If it's like 1,000, cool, fine.
But always expect the worst, hope for the best. Always plan. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just going through and just allowing myself time to learn. Like, you can get skilled up very quickly. But then
Did you get afraid when you started with 100K? At some point did you feel like you want to scale it down?
Never thought I wanted to scale it down.
Okay.
Love it.
I think I probably had like just nerves because it was unknown, and then like, so what I was going to say is it's just like, you know, at college or university, right? You go in and you learn theory, and then you come out and then there's like reality. Right?
So when did you get slapped in the face? How long when you went into, you say right through market cycle?
Yeah. So I got slapped in the face.
You really don't forget, right? When you
no.
I never remember any wins, but when I get slapped in the face, I remember for the whole life. So what was that? If you don't mind sharing.
There was two. So I mean, I would have started in.
So that's within 1 year and quarter. You get slapped 2 times in the face.
Yes.
So I wouldn't have to go into specific, but did it make you question anything? Question Cody, question the team, or question the strategy?
I was going to say no. But if you go like deeper, I'd say, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Because, man, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I'd have to go real deep to say, did I question it? I think maybe human behavior, like maybe a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It's normal.
But knowing that, again, it's a lower risk strategy.
Yeah.
And then there's just ways of dealing with when the market does turn. And so, I got slapped in the face twice. And both times I was able to just leverage the strategies to actually just, call it like
get it all top, just recover.
Just move on. But I want to say though that for me personally, even with and the second time I got slapped in the face, it was just my own human behavior, right?
What do you mean by human?
Well, I got greedy, right?
Yeah.
Because I came off my best month ever, and then when I was the market turned, and I could have closed all my positions for like, say, just a loss of like $200, right? And I'm like, oh no, man, I just came off my best month ever, and I don't want to have like just that one single trade.
Even though the coaches were like, Jeff, close it, Jeff, close it.
And I'm like,
not stock advice, but close it.
Yeah, exactly.
We all close ours.
Slope. That's a slippery slope there.
So then I'm like, okay, so that's why I got smacked. But I mean, it's just like it was human behavior, and I always like to be accountable in everything I do. So it was just me, right?
Yeah.
So, but having said that, in my first year, I still netted out just over 20% annualized return anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
I think,
yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, you touched on a really, really important part. A lot of the people who say like, oh, it's gambling. There's two different mindsets, and I think you touched on both of them perfectly in that story. There's the emotional part of you, where when you have a loss, humans are going to feel crappy when we see that we lost money. Money is very emotional. Like, if I even lose $1, I'm pissed for the rest of the day. But then there's the rational thought of part of you where it's like, you have highs and lows.
Yep.
You know, you look at a graph for success, it's going to be all over the place.
Yep.
It's going to be up, down, left, right. It doesn't even matter. But it's about understanding that this is temporary.
Yep.
And if you exit out when it's at the low, you've just guaranteed yourself that loss. If you're patient, trust the process, trust your knowledge, you can get right back to the high.
Yep.
So I love that. Like, I love that, because with day trading, options trading, whatever it is, it's those two mindsets. Which one's going to win? So, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's good. It's very good. It's very good. And I know you started with 100K.
Yep.
Do you still trade with 100K now?
So I'm just in the process of actually adding. So what I did.
So after 1 year, you tested.
I just wanted proof of concept.
Prove it to Lisa.
Yep, exactly. And so after a year, I'll be adding in another couple 100,000, get it up to about 300,000, and really. So this all goes back to that financial planning as well. And for me, and I have goals, and I'm on target. I'll probably hit 36% annualized return. And so
no promises, okay, right?
Yeah, no,
Jeff can get slapped another 2 times this year.
Yeah.
Maybe end up at 20%, or maybe end up at 40%. Who we don't know. We roll with the market.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, what that enables to do is, and with this strategy, it just ties into my larger. I call them life goals, but financial goals. But the financial goals tied to tied to your life goals and whatnot.
Yeah,
and you're able to generate, consistent monthly cash flow. And I think if I added a couple other comments on that, I mean, again, this is a skill that, I mean, like it's a life skill, right? And you have it for life. And when you do make those decisions, for in the future, eventually when you retire, you get up and you have a little coffee in the morning, you make a couple of trades and you earn your monthly cash flow. So that's really the way I look at it. So.
And I actually want to, you mentioned retirement. So I actually want to ask you a question. So what's the difference between when you were working your corporate sales job, it's before 2020, you haven't touched real estate or options trading. What did retirement look like back then? And how has that changed?
Well, I wasn't clear on timing for retirement, right? And actually back, before 2020, to me, retirement was more just retire and just kind of sail off into the sunset and travel and whatnot. But I think, for me personally, that's changed because I actually love what I do from a corporate perspective. So I'd say the progression is knowing that the choice of retirement is now within reach, whereas before I didn't have that clarity, but I now have that clarity, and it's essentially around the corner. And then when you develop additional skill sets, right, and knowing that you can pull on these different strategies that really turn into different income streams, and it's supplementary, it's complementary, and they can stand on their own. Who is it? Robert Kiyosaki, right? Just have your money working for you while you sleep.
For Quattrum, or Warren Buffett, right? If you don't make money while you're sleeping, you're going to work until the day you die.
Yeah. So I'd say that's one of the biggest shifts is actually learning different skill sets and strategies to do exactly that. Have your money working for you. So then that translates more intrinsically to now knowing that you have more.
Yeah. And I don't know who said this quote, but when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long does it take you to maintain like the strategy to make like 20% that you make last year? Like, I know in the beginning you're very curious, you spend more time, you just want to look at your phone. It's like a video game. I'm playing video game again.
I mean,
but what is it now?
It could be as little as 30 minutes or, an hour. And if it goes beyond that, it's actually more, it's your own self, right? Like it's actually a fun strategy. And, so I just enjoy it, right? I enjoy actually reading up and reading news. So again, you can execute the strategy in 30, 60 minutes a week. And if you're more curious and you like to read news and fundamentals,
you want to keep getting better.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Because you're curious.
Yeah.
Like you said at the beginning.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right? And actually back to that, being curious, I just love the learning journey, right?
It's fun.
So I mean, I put a little bit more time, and then again, I just have a bad habit of checking my trades, and
we all do.
When you make money or lose money, make money is that you feel good. Lose money is like, I got to keep checking.
Yeah.
I think like Nada touch on Nada's point is like when she asked you, what was your retirement like before you know about this whole finance world about real estate, stock option before 2020? You're like, Cody, maybe 75.
Yeah.
But I know you're a very analytical and driven person. I don't want to push you for years because I know you have a spreadsheet up somehow.
Yep.
Your employer might be listening to this. Jeff is still working. We're not trying to get him to quit his job. But what is that year with the current growth that you see that you can have the options to work for fun?
I mean, it's like the
or
actual,
is there already?
Yeah. I mean, the actual number is just it's a couple years, right? From a financial analytical number.
Yeah.
But again, just who I am, and
you can't stop.
I can't, and I really do love my corporate job.
Yeah.
And then there's just like the there's the compensation and the income that comes along with that as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but in terms of having the control and the choice, it's a couple of years.
Yeah.
You don't feel forced in it anymore. So it makes it much better, honestly. Life without feeling that you need to be there all the time, like it just makes it enjoyable.
And I think there's just that sense of comfort and pride, knowing that you're essentially adding control into your life to be able to choose what you want to do.
And you want purpose. I feel like sometimes when I think of retirement, it freaks me out because I'm thinking of the traditional route of like, you're done with work, you're doing nothing, you're gardening, which I mean, that's fun, I'm sure, but you need that I don't know, that incremental growth to keep you feeling you have purpose.
And you do. And I actually have a philosophy and a belief is that if you're not challenging your mind, if you just retire and that's it, to me, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Either you're going to die young or you're just going to almost die internally, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I always want to be challenging myself to, learn new things. And if it's an existing skill set, just always honing that skill set and just getting better.
Right.
Yeah. That's the attitude. You want to get better because you want to. Yeah.
You sounded just like Amelet, your idol, on another podcast.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff, if I know when people get into a new skill, they get really excited, especially when they make money. So when you make money, I know like it's not really you need the money, but it's good to see it grow. Have you started talking about it to your friends and family about stock option?
Absolutely.
And what is their reaction?
Well, it all depends on the person, right? Some people are like kind of cross-eyed. Like, what are you talking about?
But what's the first impression usually you get?
I think that for the majority, it's again just that. Well, hey, is there risk to that?
Yeah.
Right. And how do you overcome that risk? Like, what's the real opportunity, or what's the downside?
Yeah.
Right. So there's always say questions or potential objections as well.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's very I was gonna say it's foreign to most.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anytime I talk to someone like family, friends about real estate, they look at me like it's a cult, and I'm like, guys, I will bring charts because it's something scary outside of the status quo. They're looking at, income as a salary. You do the job, you stay there for 30 plus years, and that's your income for life. Whereas like these ideas are foreign. Like, what are you going to have to be risky with things? And I might lose my money. It's just clinging to the negative, but knowing you can mitigate that.
And I think that's human behavior too, right? It's just like, having those like innate or like objections that naturally come up because it's not in the mainstream. I think it is for certain people. Obviously, Cody, you growing up and learning like all about stocks, the stock options, and actually like so there's certain people out there doing it, and I'm thankful that you did.
Yeah,
because
it takes some crazy people to start a business or start talking about what they do, because now all the arrows on the back, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everyone is waiting for Cody to fail. Well, not that they want Cody to fail, but they don't want Cody to run so fast that they're so ahead of them.
Yep.
Right. And unfortunately, that's the reality of things, right? When you start running really fast, arrows on your back, right? I'm okay with that. I'm kind of like have to tune it out. Yeah. But I want to hear more from your standpoint, because you really just passionately sharing it.
Yeah, but I mean, so here's something that just pops into my mind about this. It's like, okay, I mean, if you're having, say, a conversation with somebody that's serious, that does want to say, hey, tell me more, and maybe the reservations are just because they don't possess that knowledge. But if somebody truly, if they are open to learning, there's what we call opportunity cost. And for me, I mean, if you go back to the mutual funds and let's, pick whatever number you want, like pick 100,000, pick more, pick 10,000. I like using like 100,000 for easy math, but if you earn 5% or 7%, or 8%, whatever, that's easy math. So you earn an interest of $8,000 and you start compounding that. But when there's an opportunity for, like 18%, 20%, 30%, whatever it is, And you just have that delta between the two of them, and you just do the math in terms of, well, what's the earning potential? And, and then you just tie that back, again, with the right person, but what are your goals, and how's the path that you're on going to take to get you there versus alternatives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most people, when they learn something new, there's so many shining object syndrome,
Yes.
as in there's so many ways to get to success, whatever success means for someone. But ultimately, human look at, what am I here to lose? So what will you say to people or yourself? How do you overcome that and say, stock option is the thing I'm going for? It's the strategy, not another strategy. How do you answer to, because most people ask you that question is because they are thinking, that's another strategy. But what makes stock option, our set and done strategy, the strategy for you? What do you see it in?
Yeah, I would just say, you're going to go deeper in that conversation to ask questions, but it's just, now we're fighting against some human behavior, but it's just being open, right? And being open to change. And within that openness, it's do your homework, right? And let's, if we're having a conversation with somebody and they say they're on the fence, it's just get yourself educated, right? Just learn, and just don't close up. Don't be ignorant, right? Ignorance,
death blow of progress.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
And as long as somebody is open and not, I'll use that word, ignorant, then it's just get yourself educated, and at least be open and curious, ask questions, and get answers to those questions yourself through a mechanism or an opportunity to learn.
And be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
It is the only way to grow.
Yep.
So a last question for you, Jeff. If anyone's are listening to this podcast are in similar shoes as you were 4 years ago, what advice would you tell them?
No, I would, my advice, just because I've had the opportunity to, again, so we've talked about a couple of different strategies. So whatever strategy is right for you, and we're closing with stock option trading, it's make a decision and take action, right? And within that, evaluate what it is that you're doing today, and ask yourself the question, is what you're doing today working for you? And if you have the goals that are in front of you, are you on the path to achieving those goals? If the answer is yes, I don't know the situation, keep going. If the answer is no, what can you do differently? We just talked about stock option trading. And so for me, it is a game changer. There is opportunity there. So the advice is take action.
Don't be stagnant.
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jeff.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome.
If you're watching until this point, make sure you like and subscribe, and we have more episodes like this waiting for you, so stay tuned. And if you don't mind, give us a 5-star review so more people like yourself can enjoy episodes like this.